And welcome, guys, to another episode of 420 News. It is a Monday, guys, so happy Monday, everybody. Hopefully everybody survived the weekend and had a good one and all of that stuff. Apologies there about my timing. I was a little bit off today. It was quite a busy Monday today. Back to teaching the self-defense classes, which was great crack. Really enjoyed it, and like, as good as it is to be doing a job that like you enjoy doing and stuff, like that's an incredibly rewarding job that I do, knowing that you're teaching people the skills of self-defense, and should they ever find themselves in a situation where they need it, well, they'll be very thankful for today's activities. But yeah, so it was a very busy day today. I had a mighty day myself, and we're just getting around to packing up the first bowl of the day. So yes, this should be a mighty one. Got a couple of headlines lined up for you guys, and I got to be out of here this evening by at least 5:45, as I have to go back down and teach a Thai boxing class this evening then as well, which will be great. Hopefully this first bowl of the day doesn't kick my ass right away. Or there'll be other people kicking my ass later. Yes. Shout out to people in the audience. Let's get through the howdy doodies to everybody in the audience. Get your comment in, guys, if you want me to say hello. John Phantom, what's going on? John Phantom says 11:22. Good morning from Florida. Welcome, John, and hopefully the weather is beautiful over there in Florida. We've quite a nice day here today in Cork. It's not as warm as what it probably is in Florida right now, but there was a bit of sunshine out there, and most importantly, there was no rain falling from the sky. Yay! But welcome to the show, John, and nice to see the international audience present. John Finnegan is out there as well. We got our two Johns in the audience. Two Johns. Johnny boys. Podge is there as well. What's happening, Podge? And Constant Gardner, what's going down? Pods 4420 is out there as well. Cassidy Strugas saying that he heard the belch. What do you mean heard the belch, boy? I don't burp. What do you mean? Oh, I heard little man kicking off downstairs. Oh no. DB Woodcraft is out there as well. Peter Kelly, what's happening, DB and Peter? Who else we got in the audience? Danny Butler, what's happening, Dan? Stoner Dan, guys. Great wrestling skills he's got there. We still have to do our tag team, Dan. We're not forgetting, man. Jill O'Sullivan is out in the audience as well. What's Jill saying? I'm just going to take this as a sign. A sign from the higher powers, Jill, yeah? Jill says that she was debating whether to make one or not. Make what? What were you talking about? I have no idea what you were about to make. She says the phone went ping. Message from the gods. Nice. Just filling up the old volcano bag there now. DB Woodcraft asking, is it legal yet? 2 seconds, I'll just look. No, still not legal. Shy Son and B9F are in the audience as well. What's happening, guys? Shy Son asking, story people, what's good? What's good? Well, we got some good news here today, so that's what's good. Cassidy Struga says, in Malta it is. Yeah, and that was an answer to DB Woodcraft there, I assume. Oh, Scatnist is in the audience as well. What's happening, Scatnist? B9F asking, any canaphobics here? Don't think so. I think we're all canaholics. John Phantom saying here, my grandmother's last name was Neil, but a DNA test says I'm mostly Scottish, Welsh, English with a little Irish. That's very interesting, alright, yeah. I'd imagine, that there's probably a lot of Irish bred within our Scottish and Welsh lineages there as well. But yeah, welcome to the family. Hunter K says, just loaded up my monkey pipe for the first time. Nice. Hopefully that went well for you. Welcome, Green Tea. Happy Monday, Green Tea. Hope it was a good one for you. Man Falls is out there as well. Others in the audience has that been everybody? Cassidy Strugas says he's preparing for the first barbecue of the year. Lucky you, bro. Lucky you. Yes, I see that one there coming in from B9F. Can you put your headphones back on, please, Frank? Frank the Plank. Frank thought he could talk on Zoom the other day without his headphones on. Frank had a number of mishaps. It seems like he needs to do a crash course on how to do Zoom meetings. Go on, here I am, stoned, like I'm consuming cannabis right now, Frank, and I'm able to present the show. I'm able to do all of the production. I'm able to do all of the setup. And guess what, Frank? Nobody ever trained me how to do this. Would you believe it? A no good cannabis consumer is out there actually doing some good and is motivated and is highly energetic. Yes, Thai sticks be nice. I was watching an interesting video actually on the origin of Thai sticks and some of the other lost traditional techniques or traditional preparation methods of cannabis from the past. Thai sticks is from the Thailand region, but it seems in I think it was in Mexico or in South America somewhere, the Thai stick has a very similar cousin where they use a corn cob check that one out if you haven't already. I can't remember what the title of the video was, but I think maybe if you look at fermented cannabis and a corn cob, I think you might get something along the lines of there. It's where they get the cannabis and they put it in an eye of corn. Is it, or no, an ear of corn? Ear of corn? Yeah, an ear of corn, I think. Yeah, potatoes of eyes, corn as ears. So you remove the corn from the centerpiece, and then you can place like cannabis inside in there. It's very interesting. Podge85 says, yeah, I'd love to be high now, but have had a very busy, productive day, especially in the green room. Nice, Podge. Good to hear. Good things come to those away, pal. John Finnegan says, rub it in, Graham. What's that, rubbing the barbecue? Is it the barbecue rub? Excuse me. Yeah, Hunter K saying here, first try of the pipe, Martin, and he did the complete opposite of what Monkey said to do and took way too big of a talk. Yeah, that can be a problem, all right. Another thing with the pipe as well is you want to like do small hits, because too big of a hit is going to produce too much heat. When your cannabis burns, if there's a lot of it, the more that's there, the higher the temperature it can actually reach. So it's beneficial to do smaller bowls and pipes, because there's a short path, a short distance for the smoke to travel from the source of ignition to your mouth and your throat therefore. So the smoke can be quite hot and harsh as a result. So therefore it is best to pack small bowls and pipes and get it lit with as little flame as possible. You know, just get a quick hit of the flame, get it the ember up, and Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. But yeah, that's my advice for pipes anyway, is pack it up as small as possible and go that way. Small bowls. Scatness says his mental rigidity is literally carved into Frankie's face. He sure would benefit from psilocybin therapy. Imagine Frank on mushrooms. Oh, that would be a sight to behold. John Phantom says, shouting out the pods there, 3 of my grandparents are from the UK area, Canadian, French and Montreal. It said I share 23% of my DNA with him, but said I am only 1% French. Interesting, you know. But again, you know, just as your buddy like grew up in France, might have been born to French parents, but those parents were they actually French? You know, genetics is a very interesting thing. I got mine done by 23andMe, and I was very interested. Found it very interesting what I got back. John Finian says, yeah, monkey pipe can kick like a rabbit drop there. I love my monkey pipe. And Gabberhead, what's happening? Welcome to the show, Gabberhead. I'm all good here at Gabberhead. Hopefully all's good on your side as well. Hunter K as well. Good shout out, Martin. Never knew that. Martin bringing in the 420 science fact of the day. Yeah, well, there you go, I suppose. I'm ignorant to the fact that people might know what I know. I'm always assuming that because I know it, everyone must know it. Surely this is a known thing. So forgive my ignorance. I should try to drop more knowledge more often. Let's turn this camera here and get myself more centered. There we go. Right, as I'll pack up one more bag and we'll deliver the first headline, which is a positive one, I have to say. I take this as being a positive news headline anyway. As a recently published study, oops, that photo shouldn't be there. Wait, no, why is that? There we go. No, where's that image? That's weird. My apologies. That image shouldn't be there, and I don't know why it's there, and I can't hide it. Yes, I see. Boom, there we go. Now I know it. Apologies, guys. Got very distracted by that popping up there. But the headline I have delivering to you is that cannabis use has increased during COVID-19 restrictions, and that's according to a new European study. And this study was conducted with the help of 50,000 people from across the EU. Those people came from 21 EU member states, which includes Switzerland and also Ireland. So it was very interesting what came back there, and it seems like ecstasy and cannabis were two drugs which were most affected by the COVID pandemic. How did ecstasy get affected? Well, just think about it. Everywhere was shut down. There was no parties, not many raves, and all of that kind of crack going on. So yes, the rate of use of the ecstasy, according to the study, declined over the previous 12 months. Cannabis, however, shot up like a rocket, like a bloody rocket. Honestly, the rate of cannabis use has it's gone up considerably, considering that 93% of the respondents to the survey said that they had consumed cannabis at some time in the previous 12 months. So that's a major number there, like 93%. I'll pop that back up on screen just so you can see the headline. You might not be able to see that down the bottom, actually. Will it? See if I can shorten that in. No, never mind. Wreck the screen now. But 93% of the respondents anyway said that they'd used cannabis in the previous 12 months. That's what's blocked out there by the logo. That's a huge amount of people, guys, because those people are all subject to the cruel and unusual punishments that go with prohibition. And it is cruel and unusual what we do to people, because they choose to consume a substance, then we're going to lock them up, take away their freedom, take away their ability to travel. That's happening right across the European state at the moment. Not in all of the countries, but in the vast majority of them, people are getting criminalised for cannabis use. And here we have a study coming out that shows that 93% of the people who took part in the survey, which is 50,000 people, guys, 50,000 people. So if you think of 93%, that's over 45,000 people who are being subject to the criminalisation as a result of this prohibition. Not only that they're subject to the criminalisation, but they're also at risk of the harms that befall people when sourcing a product from the black market. So again, this is an alarming number, considering that prohibition remains by and large in place across Europe. This number is definitely evidence that there is a dire need to reform the laws right across Europe to better accommodate for the diversity of people that exist in our society today. Cannabis consumers are still by and large discriminated against in all of most of the countries across, I would still say all of the countries actually across Europe, as Malta is the first place to kind of legalise it, but I do still see a discrimination present even within Malta for people who consume cannabis, given some of the arbitrary restrictions they put on them. But still, nonetheless, a 93% return in terms of the amount of people using cannabis in the previous 12 months to that study. That's not to say that 93% of people use cannabis daily, weekly, monthly. It's just they use it at some point in the previous 12 months. I didn't look further into that study to see if there was a further breakdown of that, and if they did break it down in terms of monthly users, weekly users, and daily users. But still, nonetheless, 93% of people across Europe responding to this study said that they'd used cannabis in the previous 12 months. To me, that says there's 93% of people across Europe who deserve the protection of their governments, as every other consumer is afforded protection. So while 93% of people across Europe continue to consume cannabis and enjoy it, still here in Ireland, where we go back to. And before I go back to Ireland, let's just see what's happening in the comment box. Any comments there on that news headline? Gabberhead, thanks Martin, yes. Okay man, few minutes late, but better late than never. Nice one, Gabberhead. Oh, excuse me. John Finnegan asking, Martin, are you still on the no combustion kick, dude? I am indeed, John. Hey, I will put my hands up in a minute though. I had about 3 or 4 bong hits the other night, because I broke into the keef compartment in my grinder. I decided to pack up 2 or 3 keef bowls because I was going Netflix and chill. So I decided to have a couple of bowls from the bong. So I did break the no combustion January promise that I made myself, but it was a temporary break. I'm right back on it. I got back on the horse the very next day. A temporary lapse. But by and large, yeah, I'm still on a no combustion kick. B9F says 7% were theology students. Pod85 telling people to hit that like button over on YouTube, guys. Very slacking on the likes. What's going on over there? Should I go over and investigate? Now, guys, hit that like button, subscribe, share, do all of those fun things as well to help further the message of this show. Man Falls, Podge on Twitch, Pog no longer forever alone. Yes. Good to see. Yes, I like seeing some people over there occupying the Twitch audience. It's always the smallest of the three audiences, but it's good to see that Podge has made the transition over there. Probably much less of a toxic environment than other places, such as maybe Facebook and things like that. But hope all's well, Podge. James Clary says, dire need for a rave by the sounds of things too. Big time. I would love a rave, actually, to be fair. I'd love if I could convince herself to get on the old rave gear and get on the old, what's the glow-in-the-dark stuff, the old UV paint. Be some crack. Man Falls, POG means play of game, Martin. It's gamer Twitch lingo, you boomer. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, boomer over here, buddy. Man, my daughter is 8. Alexis, y'all have probably met Alexis through the gaming on her. But she will be doing that to me all the time. Dad, do you know what GN means? I'm like, no, what's GN mean? Good night, Dad. Good night. Do you know, our ROFL, Dad? And I was like, yeah, I know that one. Roll on the floor laughing. And she's like, yeah, well done, Dad. Well done. Yeah, I'll be getting educated there by the kids. So, yeah, boomers. Probably right. Hunter K would love to be in a field at 5 a.m. in the morning missing a shoe. The good days. I prefer to have my 2 shoes still on. And yes, being in the field 5 in the morning surrounded by good people in a warm atmosphere, because there's nothing worse than 5 a.m. Coming down and it's getting cold. Nothing better than when you get the setting right. I'll never forget a night over at Boomtown, and it was about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. There was a big community fire up on one of the campsites, and there was kind of tiered seating around the fire. And I don't know, Casa de Strugas, I think you were working on this night, but magical, still like very vivid memory of it all. And all I can say is it was a very magical evening. Really enjoyed it. Fucking powerful talks, but that was probably the old Mandy. Hunter K says leave the horse alone. Horses thought they were unicorns. Sorry, Martin, I missed what you said there. Is there an underground rave on somewhere? If there is, somebody let me know, please. But no, we were just wishing that there was one on, and that saying that one is definitely needed, given fucking all of the shit that we've been going through over the last year or two. It would be decent to get out there and just have an underground rave, either out in a forest or in some factory. Scatness says that we're no boomers. I sorely reject that notion. We're ex-ennials. Yeah, guys, all that lingo is just going right above my head. So let's drive on, guys, because it's good to have a bit of crack and banter there before we get to the next news, because this next piece of news kind of shocked myself and Elijah a while ago when we were reading it. Elijah was up here preparing for the 420 news with me a while ago. And this is a picture from a grow house that was raided in Waterford. And this is a case that I was going back to, I believe this was a case that happened last year. And one of the individuals who was brought up on the charges in relation to this, he was after being handed a 10-year sentence for his involvement with the gang. And this property which they raided, they found a false wall erected within the hidden door at it was an industrial unit, actually, the property in which this was being grown. The individual is named within the article. I'm not going to name him here, but he was handed a 10-year sentence for this. The court heard that apparently the individual named here had grown bored of his quiet life as a doorman with no previous convictions, and so he had recently embarked on a parallel life in which he played a senior role in this major drugs operation. This was no amateur operation. The unit, located in Riverstown Industrial Estate in Tramore, had its own irrigation system, and the gang had managed to bypass the main electricity supply without the utility provider becoming aware of heavy use, according to the guard involved here. Inside the unit were 340 cannabis plants plus hydroponics to help the plants grow faster. It says, before you get excited, all of the plants were seized by the Tramore Gardaí. Why would you be getting excited? In fairness, we all know what's coming. We've been down this road many, many times before, have we not? But the Tramore Gardaí, who raided the unit with the help of the Garda Armed Support Unit, so a number of personnel involved in this, and this actually took place on January 18th, 2019, so was that 3 years ago? 3 years ago. So 3 years this guy has been out in bail now, back and forth between the courts, and finally the evidence was strong enough to convict this guy for his part in the crime, and he got a 10-year prison sentence for it. Like, absolutely crazy stuff. There's a second man up before the court in relation to the same case. It's unknown yet what he's to receive, but it doesn't really get any worse for 10 years for growing some cannabis plants. The guy who got 10 years says he also reportedly offered to pay people €200 a day to help harvest the plants. Not a bad gig if you can get it, eh? And that's not bad either, guys. In fairness, that's the first time ever hearing a mention of a number for the pay that a person would get for looking after such an operation. In fairness, right, you're some dude down in your luck in a community, and some guy comes up to you. So maybe it might be somebody you know. This guy was a doorman, let's say, in the community. So a doorman, he knows people in the community. He knows who to go to and to say, hey, come here, Johnny, you got laid off there a few months ago. Didn't you still get no job? Come here, look, I've a few plants growing down there. Look, you just have to go down and just flick a few switches there once a day and stuff. Look, we give you €200 a day for 5 days a week, man. That's €1,000 a week there for yourself. It'd be fucking nice, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be nice, in fairness, like? So €200 a day people were getting to look after this property. In most of these situations, that's the individual who goes down for it. The doorman, if he is the head honcho here, quite often or not, those people ride off into the horizon. That they have about 10 or 20 other grow houses going on around the place with vulnerable individuals in there doing the dirty work again, if you call it that. It is dirty work. You're dealing with dirt, I suppose, when you're growing plants, but I would definitely say that's quite an enjoyable job, and it's a very generous pay to get as well. Look, and I see people out there already in the comments, they're like, sign me up, that's a great salary. It is, in fairness, like £200 a day, and to be honest, like there wouldn't be a whole lot of work in it. There is some work, it is a bit of labour involved there, but if you were given 8 hours across the day, that you would be afforded some nice decent lunch breaks there, and even a bit of scrolling time on social media and all of that stuff. I wonder if there's any perks of the job, and get a few an ounce or two at the end of the month as well, on top of the £200 a day, like. Yeah, spot on, Scatness, spot on. There you go. That's the point. Tax free. That's how that's the real draw to this. This guy could be working another job. He could be working as a doorman still, okay? And because he's working as a doorman, he would be paying a certain amount of taxes. And if that was to be a legitimate job and he was doing it elsewhere, that would put him over a certain tax threshold where he would be paying more because he's earning above that threshold. But he's avoiding that now. So he's making a killing, if he's still out doing 2-3 nights a week there on the doors, plus, managing his grow operations, he's making an absolute killing. Who's losing out? The community in Tramore. There could be legitimate jobs created with proper perks, with proper pay, with proper security and all of that stuff. The cannabis then that's being produced, there could be a traceability put onto it, to ensure that it doesn't end up in the hands of the kids. It can be sold from reputable retailers who would ensure also that it doesn't end up in the hands of the kids. So the community, by and large, is who's losing out. The people of Ireland have lost out there because, again, a number of units of the Gardaí involved in this raid, and nobody really benefited from this. Like, this cannabis gets destroyed, but Guys, any of you having problems getting cannabis out there at the moment? I know one or two of you are probably without it, but that's probably by choice as well in certain regards. Maybe trying to save up and hold on, get the tolerance break on or something like that. Hey, what's happening, Daily Talker? Congrats on the win again, bud. Excuse me. So this guy got 10 years for growing of the cannabis. Also, again, the big loser in this was the electricity company, because this guy has been robbing thousands of euro worth of electricity, and there was the electricity company is going to have to be burdening that cost then as well. So a big loss there for the community, the country, and the potential businesses that could have been servicing this industry as well, which includes the electricity companies. So we drive on from there and we go to the UK then next. So, excuse me. We get it on out of Ireland, and why didn't that come up? Boom, there we go. So over in the UK, guys, there was news that just broke there earlier today that a fire broke out at a property in Leeds, and the firefighters, when they showed up and they started fighting the fire, they found evidence that a cannabis grow operation was being operated at the property, and they called the cops, who came down and investigated, and a man and a woman are after being arrested as a result of that. But I'm gonna just go over here to, is it leedslive.co.uk. So I'll pop them up on screen, and there's a video here of this. I'm going to play this video.
There's a hole in the roof, which you can see from the front and the back. I'll be taking you around the house to give you sort of a guided tour from the street. There you go. I'm going to zoom in, so show you the all the glory of that big hole. There you go. Look at that. You wouldn't want to be. You certainly wouldn't want to be standing in that loft now when it was raining. I've heard that apparently.
So we'll just go back a second there and we see if we can show this. So what you don't see here off screen, off the recording, is there's another house attached to this. So again, what we're seeing here in this article, but the article won't call it out, is the prohibition of cannabis is making lives ever more dangerous for unsuspecting bystanders and communities, because you have people setting up cannabis grow operations, they're bypassing electricity in a means to maximise the profits, but also to avoid detection by the electricity companies, because if an electricity company sees a spike in electricity usage, you know, you're using 4 times more than the neighbour next door to you, well, they're going to that's going to warrant investigations against your property. So there's many reasons why people will bypass electricity boxes, but it makes the situation incredibly dangerous, not just for the people living in that property, but adjacent properties too. So again, it's incredibly important that we end this prohibition of cannabis so that people can be afforded the opportunity to grow cannabis safely at home, or even better again, go down to their local store, local retailer, and buy it from a retailer who sells cannabis that was produced by a reputable producer. You know, so either afford people the opportunity to grow safely at home, or afford them an opportunity to go and buy it safely in the local community, or forever be seeing situations like this. You know, thank God this wasn't a headline where neighbours of cannabis grow operation lose life, you know, a family, an entire family wiped out. Imagine like that's how much worse it could have been if that fire broke out in the early hours of the morning, and if the firefighters hadn't been lucky enough to show up in time to fight it. Imagine that spread to the adjacent property and lives were lost. Those lives are needlessly being lost because of this fucking desire to enforce this prohibition. And then, you know, you go around, I'll play the rest of this dude's video. He's showing you.
Looks like there's some more movement around here.
Some of the damage that's been done.
What's going on here? This is all the remnants of the roof and the rubble have come down.
So quite a deadly situation, really, for something that's not deadly at all. The cannabis never killed anybody.
So as you can see, officers are going into the scene now. I suspect to be inspecting the property to make sure it's all safe inside.
So you see the cops going in again, and it's just highlighting more wasted resources, enforcing this prohibition of drugs. These guards have to, or police officers have to go in there, and it's probably going to take them quite a time to develop their case, to gather their evidence, to prepare their files, to put it through the Crown Prosecution Services. Man, the waste here associated with this prohibition and the danger created then as a result of it, it's absolutely sickening. So as I said, a man and a woman have been arrested in relation to this investigation. They're currently being held at one of the police stations there in Leeds. The police did issue a statement, and here's their statement. They said at 8:57 a.m. today, police were contacted by the fire service who were attending a fire at a house in Langdale Gardens, Headingley. Evidence of a cannabis grow setup was found at the property. A man and a woman were arrested on suspicion of production of cannabis. They remain in custody and inquiries are ongoing. So that was the latest statement that was released by the authorities there in relation to this. But again, the prohibition of drugs there could have easily taken another innocent bystander had that fire not been brought under control by the fire services. Again, the fire services being called out needlessly to a fire that shouldn't have taken place had cannabis been properly regulated and people who grow it not been trying to avoid detection, or if it's an organised gang of some sort, trying to maximise their profits as well, because that's another reason why that goes on. So Hunter K says, been on a tea break since before Christmas, partly down to choice, had some CBD, turn up today though, no way I'm a fund the gangs for some mad expensive and shit bud. Good call, Hunter, good call. Gabberhead says, Martin, I give up looking down here, don't mention where I'm out since last week, half back is killing me. Oh, yeah, don't mention where. Sorry, I see what you're saying now. You give up looking down where you are. Don't mention where. Yeah, I know what you're saying now. Shit. Hopefully you saw something soon anyway. There's nothing worse, and that they have pain, and on top of that just makes it even more annoying. Daily Talker can't wait for the postman to arrive. Yes. He should be on his way. Ross, Dr. Cream Thumb saying he's late but made it. Welcome to the show, Ross. And Auntie Mooney as well. Being allowed to buy in coffee shops or social clubs isn't good enough. It's not over till people can grow it for themselves. Otherwise, black market will still thrive. Yeah, 100%, Anthony. 100%. Definitely agree with you there. And we drive on to another case coming out of the UK then, and it is that, and I don't know how much truth there is to this headline. I don't know, is this more just kind of like fucking clickbaity, just pure, I don't know, like sensationalism by the cops. But the police say that they shut down a cannabis farm that was so large it was causing power cuts at nearby housing estates. And this was a raid that took place at a property over in the UK, and in an industrial area. But they say it was so large it was causing power cuts. But in fairness, like all they say that was there was 300 plants. So there was 300 plants that were found, and this is at a Nottinghamshire, and also at this cannabis farm. What they found is that the property had the electricity meter again bypassed. So these people were stealing tens of thousands of pounds worth of electricity as a result of this bypassing. So again, another dangerous situation here, because if they got in somebody who's maybe not qualified to work with electricity, again, you could have a fire as a result, and God only knows what factory units might be nearby. You see some, like, they could be doing a grow in one unit, and right next door, God only knows, like a tire place. Like if a fire goes on in the grow, in the cannabis grow, and it gets into the fire factory or into the tire factory, like that's going to be a nasty price to pay there for the environment, in terms of like fucking all of those tires being burned and shit like that. Nasty outcome there. And not to mention, there could be any other kind of chemical factories or anything like that nearby, where again, fires can have serious implications for nearby communities, where you could have a fallout as a result afterwards, some chemical going up into the air but falling down later on in another area. Big problems. The cops go on to say that cannabis production is not harmless and it's certainly not a victimless crime. In addition to being a gateway drug for those who take it, the production of cannabis is also linked to organised criminality and a range of serious offences, including the exploitation of vulnerable people. Again, like, I have to just change this, but I'll finish off this officer's statement here. This is a statement by Sergeant Simon Johnson of the Nottinghamshire Police, who says he's extremely pleased to have taken this large amount of cannabis out of circulation and away from the streets. He says these offences can also pose serious safety risks, as was the case in Plumtree Road when tens of thousands of pounds worth of electricity were found to be bypassing the meter and affecting the power to the neighbouring area. We are absolutely committed to tackling drug production in our communities, and I would like to thank officers from our researcher team, tactical support group and the cannabis dismantling team for working together to take these drugs out of circulation. Like, cannabis production is such a problem in the UK, they actually have a cannabis dismantling team. Like, what a waste of a job. Like, seriously, take that money and pay some student to go and research cancer or epilepsy or AIDS or fucking, I don't know, put it towards ending hunger, world hunger or some shit like that. Stop hiring somebody to go in and take down cannabis grows. How about hire somebody to go in and set up cannabis grows for patients who want to grow their own cannabis and they can't? Oh man, what a backwards fucking world we're living in right now, where these cops can make these incredibly inaccurate statements. Like, what that statement should have read is, prohibition is not a harmless policy for drugs. And it certainly is not a policy that is not without its own victims. Yeah, that's a good wording of it. So prohibition is not a harmless drug policy, and it is certainly not without its own victims. In addition to being a policy that makes drugs more accessible to drug users, including minors, the prohibition of cannabis also causes cannabis production and the sale of to be linked to organised crime, and it also puts cannabis offenders in courts with other serious offenders, including those who exploit people for serious crimes such as rape and stuff like that. I've been there. I've been in court having to sit through horrible stories being given by victims of some of those kind of crimes, and I should not have to have been there. You know, I could go on and say like that the prohibition of cannabis also poses a serious risk to those who don't use drugs, as in situations where drug gangs are giving kids guns on the streets in order to protect territories and turfs where drugs are sold. So again, he should be saying that we are absolutely committed to protecting our communities by calling on the government to end prohibition of drugs and the prohibition of cannabis. Do you know, that's the statement that should be being made by this cop, but no integrity. That guy got no integrity. That's for sure. Nuclear bunker raids find £1 million cannabis farm. Coming in there from Hunter K. Mad stuff. Shit, that's an awful one actually as well. I see Gabberhead fucking listing out some crazy drugs there that they're on 80 80s and oxys. Oxy ain't a light-hearted drug, man. That's on the serious end of the painkillers. Just don't start crushing it and snorting it. Daily Talker says prohibition is not over until every drug is legalized and normalized, just like alcohol, sugar, cigarettes, pharmaceuticals, etc. Yep. And Kieran C says politicians are just big stinky bastards. We already know that. Yes, that is a fact known by most. Not all politicians though, but ACAB. I joke. So also, I'd like to just give a shout out to Gary Hughes. Gary Hughes, who operates the chilling rooms. I'm going to pop him up on screen there. I believe their doors have opened again over there in the UK. So the chilling rooms apparently is a consumption lounge where people can bring their own cannabis and consume it on site. And also, I believe Gary might be working on providing cannabis for attendees. So there might be cannabis supplied to people showing up there. So give him a follow over there on Instagram, and I think he might be on Facebook as well. But I believe this is a recently taken photo. I see somebody in a mask there. Like there's a mask below a dude's chin there to the far left. I don't know if you can see the mouse pointer there. But over there in the far left of the photo, there's a guy with a mask on. So that to me tells me that this photo is definitely within the last kind of few months, because he wasn't open during the pandemic at all at the early part. So this has to have been taken recently, if that is a mask that I see there. I could be seeing something else. It could be just a shadow on the dude's face or some shit like that. But this looks like it's a recently taken photo. The chilling rooms, he did have it up on his story recently, but it's gone from his story now. But I believe he's opening the doors of the place at 5 p.m. in the evenings. And there's live music there for people who attend. There's a £5 entry fee, and I believe there's refreshments and stuff like that available there as well. I wonder, can I get him up on Facebook? I'm just trying to think where I seen him the other day now. I'm pretty sure it was an Instagram story. Let's just see if Gary Hughes comes up here as well. Just give me 1 second. Gary Hughes. There we go. This is it. I knew I seen something from him there the other day. There. So there you go, guys. This Wednesday, if you're in Liverpool, this Wednesday night at the Chilling Rooms from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. So for 4 hours, £5 entry fee, you get to sit and enjoy. Who's this? With Natty. So Natty, I believe it's that lady in the centre of the photo there. Also at the side then it says live acts: Owen Brown, L2G, Moonbow, Jace Wheezy, and Max Bryant, Natty C. So there you go, guys. There's even a postcode given here, L7ZPL. So Chilling Rooms, Holt Road. Man, gonna get me over there. So shout out to Gary Hughes. Gary Hughes, you're an absolute legend, sir, and it was a pleasure to have you on the podcast in the past, and I certainly will be following up with another interview with yourself, and I'll be making every effort to do it in person over in the Chilling Rooms. So yes, there you go. Shout out to Gary Hughes and the Chilling Rooms. Pop them up on the screen there again. So find them over on Facebook and on Instagram. What a legend. So over in Liverpool right now, there's a cannabis cafe operating against the law. Go on, Gary Hughes. Fucking legend. We need to be doing this shit here. We need people to be pushing the envelope like that. Anybody out there around Cork, email me if you've got a property and you're willing to lease it to me, for maybe a small fee of €1 or something like that. That's probably within my budget. But if there's somebody out there and you're a property owner or managing properties, and if you've got a property that you think would be appropriate to set up a lounge, a hangout space like that, and also to host a podcast at, as well as other kind of productions, get in touch. I'd love to hear from somebody out there. I've been scouring bloody daft.ie for a property around Cork for the last 12 months now, and it's not been a fruitful one, to be very honest. Prices are crazy. That those that are anywhere near my budget are absolutely tiny. So it's not fit for purpose then at that point. But we're working on it. But Gary Hughes, what a legend. Let's drive on in the news then. Keith O'Halloran telling people to hit that like button, guys. Hit that like button. Daily Talker says, Pods, I had to listen to that song you sent called Virus, and man, it's crazy to hear all that. I'll have to bookmark that one for later. Let's drive on before time gets away on us. B9F says, prediction, next wave of the bug, everyone gets cannabis tablets from GW, kickstarts the demand, and then they introduce legalization, and we are off to the running. That's not a bad prediction. Sorry, tip of my nose getting very itchy there. Who's talking about me out there, guys? Hope you're saying nice things. Let's go to Thailand, guys, as Thailand are making waves. And I'll get this guy off a second. As Thailand plans to remove cannabis from its list of narcotic drugs, which is a very bold move for Thailand to make, because cannabis currently there at the very moment, a person caught in possession of it, at least a significant amount of it, can face up to 15 years in Thai prison and receive a sizable fine then as well. So like it's crazy to see Thailand really making headway now. I know a number of months ago they were only talking about kind of like the less than 0.3% THC, but now it seems like that's gone out the window. It's now like no, we're just going to remove cannabis from the list of narcotics. I think there's like some talks of trying to keep I don't know, are they talking about keeping extracts or something like that within the list, in terms of like it being a concentrate or something, but still nonetheless people over in Thailand very soon, or even maybe currently, are able to grow their own cannabis plants now, and no longer restricted with the level of THC in their own home for their own use. And if a person wishes, they can set up a commercial enterprise, either production or retail, with permission from the FDA. But when it comes to the recreational use of cannabis, and we're talking about the cannabis varieties that are more than the 0.3% THC, then there'll be a special license required for that, and there's only going to be certain areas. So they're almost going to have a trial, if you will, where they're going to allow the recreational use of cannabis in a commercial sense in certain areas, and they'll extend to it from there. Guys, to go from a country that where you would have got 15 years for having cannabis in your possession to where now they're moving towards a situation where you will be able to grow cannabis yourself if you're a resident there, or even if you're not a resident there, in the coming future, you will be able to go into an establishment maybe and actually buy some cannabis for your own recreational use. And what's going on? Like, why is Thailand way more ahead of us? Like, Frankie boy, come on, like Frank, put on your headphones there and have a listen to what I'm saying to you. Frank, you're shit at your job. Leave it and put somebody else in there who's actually passionate about their drug strategy. Can I get my assistant, Eamon, what you have to say there, Eamon? Drugs and bad, okay? Say no to drugs, kids. But this is the guy anyway behind the move. This is the FDA's, who is he? The FDA's Secretary General, Pasarn Duncum. Pasarn Duncum. And he said on Monday that his administration has drafted the bill in line with the Public Health Ministry's resolution to exclude cannabis from the narcotics list. And as I said, cannabis currently in Thailand carries a 15-year jail sentence, as cannabis is in the Category 5 narcotic drug list. There was a comment by Pravs Mulpramuk, a committee expert, and he said that the law will mean ordinary people can legally cultivate cannabis without permission from authorities, but permission will be required for commercial cultivation. So happy days, like it seems like Thailand, Malta, Luxembourg and other places that they're really like fucking seeing that the grass is greener on the other side. Like prohibition, that was a fucking that was a bad call. It seems like this is the way forward, and many countries now following in the likes of Malta's footsteps. Those who wish to be involved in the commercial cultivation, import, export, sales and advertisements of cannabis will still need to get FDA's approval. And regarding the recreational use of cannabis, the doctor said that it would be done in some locations that had yet to be specified. And he says, of course, we won't go to the stage of cannabis cafes, referring there to the Amsterdam model, but there are different models for its recreational use in other countries, and we'll select the best one that suits our social context. And that was a comment again there from the FDA's Secretary General, Dr. Pasarn. Another committee of Public Health Ministry secretary said that they would have to work out specifications of venues for its recreational use. They said that the bill has set a jail term of 3 years and or a fine of 30,000 baht for people who operate outside of the regulatory structure. There would be a public hearing on the new bill next month, and and Dr. Pasarn said that Dr. Pasarn sorry, I must have deleted a piece there from my notes. But another source, I don't know, another source from within the Office of the Narcotics Control Board, they voiced their concern on the draft bill but by the Ministry of Public Health, and they said that it might be against international narcotic conventions. They said that we need to carefully consider the pros and cons of the project, and if there is illegal cannabis smuggling, what kind of law do we need to implement, given it is no longer a narcotic? We don't intend to retain our control over a substance that is no longer illegal, especially if it is being used for medicinal purposes, but the way it is used must be in line with the conventions that we have signed. And he's talking there to the UN Convention on Narcotics. So there is restrictions there on legalising cannabis, as we've heard from Gino Kenny, as we've heard from the likes of Germany and Malta and places like that. The laws, I've talked about this in the past, like Malta can't actually legalise cannabis because they signed up to the same convention they're mentioning here as well. But what they can do is allow people, they can put in place a decriminalisation. They can't legalise, but they can decriminalise, which are kind of two different things. So that's all because of this convention that was signed fucking back in when gay people were still prohibited, you know, being gay was still a prohibited act. But anyway, look, not to bring it down, no, just bring it back up, you know, it's just, that's very good news. Thailand now going to be moving forward and allowing the home cultivation of cannabis of high THC varieties, and they're also examining possible models where cannabis can be sold recreationally at chosen locations. So, well done, fucking well. Damn nose is very itchy. Must be dry. Right. That bowl gets hot in the volcano. Just burnt my fingers. What a fucker. Almost 4:20 there as well, guys. So I'm going to get another bowl packed up here and a bag filled up. But yes, Thailand is doing good stuff. Anybody planning on going to Thailand anytime soon? I'd love to have somebody on the ground over there to kind of get me up to speed on what's going on, as the availability of cannabis and has it improved now. You know, if you're over there doing a bit of Thai boxing and stuff like that, as the local lad down at the gym now, you know, the local gym also kind of, hey, come here, I'll sell you a bit of me bud there. I got some of that Thai stick there, but yes, shining in the bucket says, go on Thailand. I echo that share. Very interesting point being brought up there by Cassidus Drogas. Bulgaria made exemptions for coca leaves, and Sweden snus tobacco, which are both illegal under the UN Convention. So anything is possible. Yeah, very interesting. All right. So in Bulgaria, can you buy coca leaves? I didn't know that if that was the case. And is snuff tobacco, is that what you're on about, or snus tobacco? I've never heard of snus tobacco. But I'm looking at S and F. They're not too far on the keyboard from each other. Bolivia is it? Okay, Bolivia made an exemption. Okay, yeah, that would make more sense. All right, like because there's definitely traditional use of coca leaves over in Bolivia. Those were the guys who were protesting outside of the UN as well, wasn't it? That time when I wasn't allowed to fucking travel over there to New York with yourselves, and yourself and Florian. I believe you got to meet with I think you were there anyway, Casa. Florian was definitely there anyway, and I think it was like the Bolivian guys. They had all their coca leaves outside. Or am I mixing that up with somewhere else? Do inform me and refresh my memory there, or let me know if I'm on the ball. Snus is Swedish tradition. Very interesting. I'm gonna have to look that one up as well. That's something new now to me. I didn't ever hear that. I've heard of kind of snuff. Is it like that stuff that they shoot up your nose? Aqua Bolivia, alcohol sold around the world. Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see the offering that would be available if coca leaves were decriminalised and allowed to be processed into safe to consume products, like the tonic wines they used to have there before that had the alkaloid present within it. I think that would be very interesting. Scatna says coca leaves are a national speciality in Peru as well. I bought 2 bags over through the US for my trip. Nice. Go on, Scatnus. Any got any left? Nice. Enjoy the barbecue, Casa. He says, sorry, typos, starting the barbecue here. And yes, you are right about the protest of the UN by the Bolivians, the tribes holding the coca leaves. Yeah, so Casa, I think, was there with Florian, and there was Bolivians over there, and they were all in traditional dress as well, which was very interesting to see. But they had a load of coca leaves with them, which is the primary ingredient for the primary source for the alkaloid cocaine. So it was very cool to see them over there. I was gutted I wasn't allowed to travel to the US because of my criminal past with cannabis and my inability to tell a lie on a ESTA waiver. Oh, shout out quick. Oh, shit, we just missed 420, guys. I just spotted it was 420 and then it wasn't 420 anymore. So I'm going to fill my bag up. And also a shout out there to the 6 people, all 6 of you over there on Twitch. Seaman Falls is delighted with the extra company. Welcome to the stream, guys. If it's our first time watching over on Twitch, welcome. What Scatna says, I had a coca tea at the airport in the cafe while waiting for my flight. Man, what could you, like, yeah, you definitely, like, that's not what I would be thinking would be good to consume before a flight. I'm sure, like, if you, before you go and fly like that, something like cannabis is more preferential to get you to sleep. Unless you had work to do on the plane, like. But definitely, I don't think, like, being awake for an entire flight, a transatlantic flight as well for that. And maybe you had a few box sets you wanted to catch up on Scandinavs. But no, I definitely wouldn't think being wired on a plane would be good. But maybe it was a mild tea you had just for a little buzz. And yeah, it does sound lovely. All right, I've never tried it, but be very interested. Yeah, that's right, John Phantom. You're supposed to take something while chewing coke leaves. And you mentioned in the lime there, I believe it's the introduction of the acid. The acid source causes a release of the alkaloid from the leaf. So I believe that's the way in which to kind of get a bit more of a kick out of the tea, I think. Again, don't hold me on it. Just going off the top of my head there. Scanna says, I do actually, and just recently started making tea again, and it is amazing. Drop on over for a tea if you're in Dublin. Not a bother at all, Scatnist. We'll bring some shrooms there as well. We'll have a nice mushy and cokey tea. Alright, let's hop on into the next headline, as it is a good one again. You know, in the next headline, some very positive news here. But we've got the bad stuff behind us. We've gone over to Massachusetts in America, where over in America now, states are finding that the taxes coming from cannabis are exceeding that coming in from alcohol. And for the first time ever in the state of Massachusetts, alcohol taxes have been beaten by cannabis taxes. The taxes for cannabis in Massachusetts were, and I'm going to pop them up on screen again, the cannabis taxes came in at 74.2 million through December 2021 this year. So in the 12 months of 2021, 74.2 million was generated from cannabis sales, while in comparison, alcohol collected 51.3 million. So quite a beating it gave it. Like, you know, it wasn't just a small slapping it gave him, but like, no, it was like a substantial one. Now keep in mind, there's a lot more taxes on cannabis, which will bump that up a little bit more. But still, nonetheless, it's really a reflection of what we're missing out on here in Ireland, and how criminals are majorly benefiting from the prohibition of cannabis. You know, and also as well, what we're missing out in here, and it's a conversation that's not really being had. It's like, what's the harm reduction effects on that in society? Because if you've now people who are going to be maybe drinking less as a result of cannabis availability, so therefore we're going to see the ill effects of alcohol reducing, you know, in terms of people presenting at A&E and stuff like that, if people are drinking less as a result of cannabis. If people are choosing to consume cannabis over alcohol, then again, you know, you're going to see an even more increase there in the reduction of alcohol-related illnesses. And that surely can only be a good thing. And again, if these people who are consuming cannabis opt to consume it in a way that doesn't impact upon their body, you know, instead of combusting your cannabis, instead of smoking your joints with tobacco and stuff, you opt for a less harmful, like vape, or go for oils, tinctures, you know, maybe you're into the edibles, maybe you're into other things, you know, such as even dabs. I would definitely say dabs are a cleaner hit than like a bong hit. Because when you think about a dab, it is all of the carbon pretty much is removed. All you've got in there are your volatile compounds. So you don't have any combustion there. It's a vapor. So again, you know, you would see a big impact upon our health system in terms of harms. Our time spent treating harms associated with drug use in our society. I think cannabis is going to be a tremendous tool for harm reduction in our society once it's widely available for those who wish to consume it, Scatna says here, actually cooked tea helps relax, oddly enough, I guess in small quantities, and that's how they use it in Peru. They also chew it while trekking up mountains as it helps with the height nausea. Nice one, very interesting there, I suppose. Yeah, the smaller doses, they can be therapeutically relaxing. That's very interesting, all right. I'm definitely going to have to look more into this. I had a good conversation with Dana Larson about the coca tea he sells and the benefits that could offer to people who use cocaine in terms of harm reduction, and alternate choices there in terms of putting something up your nose. You could probably have a chew in your mouth, which is less harmful again, and achieving the same quality effects. So yeah, it's definitely something to be looked into there. And Canaman83 says, I chewed them for a few months in 2010. Great for mountain living. Nice. And B9F says, some of the breweries in the USA are buying grows now. That's right. Yeah, there's many businesses now over there, tobacco, big alcohol businesses, big tobacco businesses. They're now looking to diversify their offering by getting in on the cannabis industry. And to be very honest, it'll be an interesting one to see the beverage industry getting in on the cannabis industry, because they're very well set up to incorporate cannabis into beverage format, and that, I really do believe that's where cannabis consumption is going to be most popular in terms of like how people get their cannabinoids into their body. I think beverages are probably going to be up there in terms of the most chosen product type in time to come. You know, once we legalize cannabis and, you know, you're 10 years down the road, I think we'll see the people who consume by inhalation, I think we'll see that number drop. And I think once the availability of products like, let's say, a cannabis wine, or, you know, a cannabis Red Bull type drink, or a cannabis Raza, you know, whatever it is, you know, where it has a certain amount of THC and it's in there in a water soluble format, and it's already it's ready to be, you know, digested and broken down, and maybe they could even alter it so that you don't get that 11-hydroxy metabolite and you just get the THC. Again, the possibilities are endless once the doors to innovation are opened, with the closing of the doors on prohibition, you know. All right, we got 15 more minutes. Let's get through the rest of these headlines. Currency says, it's people's opinion on how they still think the old-fashioned way, through propaganda and the negative idea that if you smoked, you would die. Yep. And John Fanup says, yeah, I've hated Bill Gates since about Windows 3.0. Let's drive on. The taxes from another place over in the US, guys. This is a headline coming out of California, where the Lake County within the state of California, they've basically come out and said that the cannabis industry is providing, it's possibly providing a lift for the economy there. And the economy down there in the Lake County has been taking quite a hard hit over recent years. And I'll just pop it up on screen there for you. Here's a little map of the Lake County map in California. And you'll see some familiar names here around this. You see Napa down the bottom right. Napa, I don't know, many of you might be aware of that. I think there's a lot of wine gets produced in the Napa Valley. And then you have Sonoma, and I don't know if you've know about Foxworthy Farms. That's where they're located. So in the Sonoma county there. Then up above you've got Mendocino. Mendocino, if you're not aware, that's one of Mendocino skunk. That's one of Chong's choice seeds. So Mendocino, again, that's a very cannabis related name, something that you would have heard of if you're privy to some of the cannabis culture out there. And then there's two other places that I've not really heard of, Glen and Galusa. But in the centre, slap in the centre of that there, guys, highlighted in green, is what's known as Lake County. And as I said, Lake County has been devastated with wildfires over the last few years. Starting with a really serious one back in 2015, known as the Valley Fire. And you see it here, it covered quite a large area. And then there was two other fires, sizable fires on the other side of that happened afterwards as well. And there's been a number of fires ravaged this area over the years. And here's a photo from it just to see, the scale of these fires over there. So what they're saying over there now is the economy over there has been hard done by. Over the years they tried to attract people in with resorts, retreats and stuff like that, get tourists in by different means, but they were never quite successful because of the location. Again, if I pop up the map there of the area, it's quite a difficult to get to area. And therefore, as a result, it's been difficult to get tourists in there. But what they're finding now is that with the introduction of the cannabis industry up there, cannabis growers are going to provide a $13 million boost up there to their local economy. Amazing things can be done with that in terms of like the helping people with their homes and stuff. So $13 million, it goes a long way. And again, just think about it. If you went back 20 years ago, all of that money was going to criminals. Whereas now today, because of the undoing of prohibition, that money is going to help these communities recover from the devastating damage done by those wildfires there in the US. So again, the prohibitionists out there will tell you that, the sky is going to fall as a result of cannabis, ending cannabis prohibition. But in fact, when the sky is blacked out like this, actually ending cannabis prohibition is a benefit to the economy, because can you really afford to have these, again, not to be brutally vile in my description, but a big cancerous pus-filled lump that we're carrying on our society. That's what prohibition is. We need to excise it so that we can benefit from cannabis regulation and the sale of cannabis to undo the damages being done, such as things like this devastating fires. And I'm just going to pop over to Instagram, guys, and show you Foxworthy Farms. Foxworthy Farms, as I said, he's down in that Sonoma Valley, so I'll pop it up on screen. The Sonoma down there, the bottom left of the screen. But I'm going to pop his Instagram up on screen there. And this is from a year and a bit ago. And that's Foxworthy Farms after the fire, the glass fire, as it was called at the time, had hit his property. Now you can see in the centre here, that's where his house was, and his house got absolutely devastated, completely destroyed. But very luckily for Martin, and he talks about this in the interview I done with him earlier last year. But he talks about how his cannabis farm actually acted like a fire break, and it's kind of stopped the fire in its tracks. So the fire didn't actually destroy all of his cannabis crop up there, which was good for himself. He was able to kind of use that to get a bounce back. But look, you see the property, man, the devastation that was done there to his home. Crazy stuff. And just going to scroll through these photos. Yeah, that's the end of it. There's a little video there from Martin as well. But this again is just showing the scale of the damage that was done to the landscape over there. Crazy stuff.
2020. Here's what our update is of today. You can see there's a bunch of stuff burned out. The trailer, our cottage up there, our inventory room, dry room, cure room, veg room. You can see in the background there in the the south face, that's Diamond Peak there, Diamond Mountain. And then the south face of it is just devastated. Looks like Mordor or something, you know. And it's pretty much like that all around us. Here's some more of what the fire decided to take, I guess. Generators, so forth, and toilets. Here, coming up here, you'll see like our miracle, or whatever you want to call it. You can see the burned across the creek and up there. And basically what we've learned is that cannabis is a fire break, just like weed is. Here's the beauty of it here now coming out, these young ones. They'll be planted just a little bit before the fire, and they're thriving again. They're getting a lot of water. We got our water back online. A lot of birds are returning.
Birds coming for the weed.
Greenhouses I have no idea how. There's not even a black mark on them. I have no idea.
Blessed by the ganja gods.
There's more of our young things and our veggie garden and a bunch of barn up in the background. So we did an awful lot of work for fire safety during the winter, cleared a lot of stuff back 150 feet, and it's definitely benefited. One of our houses survived, and you know, I've showed you some of the rest of the destruction in my own personal house got taken, but it is what it is, you know. No lives have been lost in the area. My animals are good. It's like the chicken survived, the dog survived. It's like happy days is
Count your blessings.
Really the way that I look at it, you know. At the same time, we're very thankful. We feel we're in a very special place. Like, let me just end the video by showing you, you know, destruction everywhere. But look at our little mountaintop valley here, right?
Beautiful babies.
What the like, right? It's got green all the way around it. Even the fall colours coming through. The sun setting, which now we can see through the trees and over to our veggie garden. And so we're incredibly blessed and thankful, and sorry for our neighbours that also lost stuff, and anyone that's lost stuff in California. Crazy time 2020. Peace.
Peace. Foxworthy. Check out his Instagram, guys, if you haven't done so already. He's got some really cool posts gone up there. It's really cool to see the inner workings as well of the cannabis farm. He shares some really good videos up there. We're just going to scroll to the top. Jeez, I went so far down. He's busy, man. He puts a lot of content out, doesn't he? A lot of content. But he asked, the Martin's been telling me that the business, the industry has been, it's been tough lately over there, you know. The price of cannabis is decreasing as the wholesale price of cannabis is decreasing every month. But luckily for Foxworthy Farms, that they're kind of vertically integrated, I believe, and that's a benefit to the business model, and that's allowing them to survive for now. But their recent outing is where they're teaming up with DJs, and as part of that, you scan a QR code that comes with your cannabis. So you see here on the back there's a QR code there, you see, and with that QR code you get a little bit of music for free, produced by this guy here, DJ. What was his name? Yezer? Doctor? Doctor. DJ Yezer? I don't know. Sorry, Martin, for not knowing your DJ's name. But yes, there you go. I don't know. Martin's talking about it here in this video. Oh, yeah, he's playing some of the tunes here.
Yo, that's the mix in the background.
Foxworthy.
This is the next of our Foxworthy Farms DJ series, where you get a free exclusive DJ mix. This one being roots reggae and dancehall. That comes with the purchase of our bag. Got a QR code on the back, which of course I got my finger over right
Class,
now.
isn't it?
And it's quite beautiful. I'm smoking it for the first time. It's smooth and nice, and the mix is life-changing. Changed my life straight up. Available at PCC this coming Sunday. Yeah, I hope you're all doing good. Much love, stay positive. Peace.
Peace, Foxworthy. Yes, no, I love his business, man. I hope to someday see some Foxworthy over here in the Emerald Isle as well. I'm sure Martin longs to see that day too. Being an exile from Cork himself, left Ireland many years ago to go raving across the US. Many raves he organised as well. Fucking, I'd love to have gotten to one of them. He taught me stories about him there, and they sound legendary. But hopefully his raving days aren't over, and I might get over there and to witness one myself someday. But yes, Foxworthy Farms, guys. Cork, Burn, Martin, Martin O'Brien, Cork, Burn, and Foxworthy Farms. Check them out, foxworthyfarms.com, and you see a lot of their products up there as well. And final headline then, guys, and I think it's a good one to finish off on, given that we just kind of touched off of a lot of the US there. Cannabis prohibition, ending it federally, has stalled again, and this is because of a clause called the Dormant Commerce Clause, and effectively what opponents are saying is that these bills would hurt cannabis businesses, big and small, potentially endangering consumers' safety. Sorry, I'm just going to pop that up on screen there again as I went off too quick. So endanger consumer safety and jeopardize racial justice progress being made in states. And this is because basically what the Dormant Commerce Clause is a set of rules where states cannot interfere with interstate trades. So it's kind of something like the freedom of movement of goods, I suppose, within the EU, I think. At least that's my kind of very layman's understanding of this. But basically what's going on in certain states where they've given, preferential treatment to people from certain backgrounds, with these the social equity programs. They're basically kind of saying that if some of these bills, such as the MORE Act, were to be passed, that as soon as it passes, as soon as it's signed in, that effectively a lot of states would be into legislative troubles because what they're doing there is not fair and it would violate the Dormant Commerce Clause. So it's an interesting one. I don't understand enough of it, but again, there is a stall that's happening there. The Democrats are having a trouble, even though they have a majority over there within the government. They're having problems getting this to the Senate floor to be voted upon. And again, these issues have been pointed out, so these are going to have to be rectified in a way in which allows for states to continue to do as they're doing, to implement these social equity programs, which are great. They're doing a lot of positive things there within some of the states. But it's going to take more time to amend the bills, to change things, and to make sure that they're not creating any legal problems, such as that was seen when the government federally decriminalised, I think it was hemp production and CBD production over there in the US. That created some problems within certain states, legal problems that they didn't really foresee when certain states put their own laws in place, but then the kind of federal thing comes along and that kind of uprooted a lot of the stuff there, and it created problems then where farmers were suing the government because their laws were more regressive than the states. So it was an interesting one. But again, unfortunately, the federal ending of cannabis prohibition on the federal level in the US has stalled yet again. But hopefully this is something that they can work out in an expedient manner, and federal prohibition of cannabis happens then. But yes, nice one. I got all the headlines in before I have to love you and leave you. I'll get a couple of comments out there, guys, before I have to start to say goodbye. And I really do have to rush off as I have to teach the 6 o'clock class there. But we will finish off the bag and read one or two more comments. Might even get one more bag in. But yes, definitely go over and give Foxworthy Farms a follow, and send them a friendly howdy as well. I'm sure he'd appreciate the old message, especially for over here in Ireland, and just be like, hey, just seen your stuff over in Martin's World, and I'm Irish, I want to get some of your weed. Because I'm sure he wants to send you some as well, or to set up a business here. He's always talking about getting a farm going here in Cork. Tinkle Tink says, have you tried the whip on the volcano yet, Martin? I have not, Tinkle Tink. I have not. I haven't really been exploring too many of the gadgets out there for it, but I'll certainly check it out. I'll have a look at it and see if I can acquire one, and I'll let you know how it goes. And Pod's there saying, yeah, love Foxworthy Farms, follow them on Insta. That'd be my dream, a farm like that. I think he might be hiring again, maybe. I think he's talking about extending the farm, as in buying new property and growing more cannabis. Savage. Others out there. John Phantom, yeah, just to make something clear about BG, he did not approach IBM. IBM approached him. He sent the CP Gary Clindle was goofing. Sorry, I'm lost there, John Phantom. It's probably going to be going back well back in the conversation there as to what was going on. Karan C says he did an episode with strain hunters in Trinidad. Oh, you're talking about nutrients and stuff there. Sorry, I'm just trying to pick up on some of the comments here, and I'm coming in the middle of all your conversations. DB Woodcraft says he is originally from Cork. He is indeed. Like, how can you deny that accent? Like, there was a definite Cork accent hidden in amongst that kind of. It was distorted, but it was there. Hunter K, a great stream as always. Hope everyone has a baked evening. Yeah, nice one. So yes, guys, it has been an absolute pleasure to get the 420 news in sheet today. I'm glad I was able to get those 7 or 8 headlines out here. I believe I got the balance right this evening. I think there was about 4 negative, 4 good news stories there. Depending on your perspective on things. But yes, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'll be back with more 420 news on Friday, guys. So until Friday. And just a heads up on Friday, guys, I might possibly just move the time again to the 7 p.m. It just works out a bit easier with the acrobatics that's going on there for Alexis. And it saves me having to do a pre-recorded piece and rushing around and all of that stuff. So the 420 news on Friday could, for the time being, be moved to 7 p.m. And I hope you don't mind that anyway. But that's just a heads up on that. I'll get the stream created beforehand anyway, if I do change the time. But much love, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and stay blazed, stay safe, and keep her lit. Bye bye.